Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivracharya Asutra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charna Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, नवदीप धाम की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय, यमुना माई की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय, निताई गौ प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jay, Srila Gurudev ki jay. Okay, Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutle Srimate Bir Krishna Goswami Niti Namne Namo Hamsa Nikashaya Prabhupada Priyate Shruddha Shuddhi Nishtabhyam Tasya Vakya Nuvadine. Hare Krishna and good morning everyone. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sri Radha Gopinath Temple, Sydney, Australia, where the government regulations are up, coronavirus is spreading. So we are required to wear a mask all the time. So I will be giving a class in a face mask this morning. Please pray that these restrictions are lifted soon and that we get back to normal as soon as possible. This morning, I'd also like to request prayers for His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, who is in a delicate health condition. And all our prayers and all our japa, with all our hearts, we dedicate this towards His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, that he may become well as quickly as possible. He needs our prayers as much as possible. This morning I was reading an update, and his health is a little bit, it says the virus is a little bit winning over the battle, slightly. So he needs all our prayers, and dedicate all our prayers for this morning to him. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 25. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. So text 25. The title of this chapter is Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So, Gatim Jigitsaha Pado, Gatim Jigitsataha Pado, Ruru Hate Bhikamikam, Ruru Hate Bhikamikam, Padbhyam Yajna Swayam Havyam, Padyam Yajna Swayam Havyam, Karma Bhihi Kriyate Nirbhihi, Karmabhihi kriyate nirbhihi. Gatim jigitsataha pado. Gatim jigitsataha pado. Ruruhate. Bikamikam. Ruruhate. Bikamikam. Padhyam yajna swayam havyam. Padhyam yajna swayam havyam. Karmabhihi kriyate nirbhihi. Karmabhihi kriyate nirbhihi. Gatim jigitsataha pado. Gatim jigitsataha pado. Ruruhate bikamikam. Ruruhate bikamikam. Padhyam yajna swayam havyam. Padhyam yajna swayam havyam. Karmabhihi kriyate nirbhihi. Karmabhihi kriyate nirbhihi. So, the words gatim, movement. Jigitsataha, so desiring. Pado, the legs. Ruruhate, being manifested. Abhikamikam, purposeful. Padhyam, from the legs. Yajnaha, Lord Vishnu. Swayam, personally himself. Havyam, the duties. Karmabhihi, by one's occupational duty. Kriyate, caused to be done. Nirbhihi, by different human beings. Okay, the translation and the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So, translation, thereupon, because of his desiring to control movement, his legs became manifested. And from the legs controlling deity, named Vishnu, was generated. By his personal supervision of this act, all varieties of human being are busily engaged in dutiful occupational sacrifice. So we'll repeat that. Thereupon, because of his desiring to control movement, his legs became manifested. And from the legs, the controlling deity named Vishnu was generated. By his personal supervision of this act, all varieties of human being are busily engaged in dutiful occupational sacrifice. So, the purport. Every human being is engaged in his particular occupational duty, and such activities are visible as men go hither and thither. This is very prominently visible in big cities of the world. People are going all over the cities with great concern, from one place to another. This movement is not limited only to the cities, but it is also visible outside the cities, from one place to another, from one city to another, by different means of vehicles. Men are moving by cars and rails on the roads, by subways within the earth, and by planes in the sky for the purpose of business success. But in all these movements, the real purpose is to earn wealth for comfortable life. For this comfortable life, the scientist is engaged, the artist is engaged, the engineer is engaged, the technician is engaged, all in different branches of human activity. But they do not know how to make the activities purposeful to fulfill the mission of human life. Because they do not know this secret, all their activities are targeted towards the goal of sense gratification without control. And therefore, by all this business, they are unknowingly entering into the deep regions of darkness. Because they have been captivated by external energy of the Supreme Lord, they have completely forgotten the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And thus, they have taken it for granted that this life is presently manifested under the conditions of material nature. and is all for enjoying the highest amount of sense gratification. By such wrong conception of life cannot give anyone the desired peace of mind, and thus, in spite of all advancement in knowledge by use of the resources of nature, no one is happy in this material civilization. The secret is that at every step they should try to execute sacrifices toward the path of world peace. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 45 to 46 also advises the same secret in the following verses. Sve sve karmani abhirataha samsiddhim labhate naraha sva karma nirataha siddhim yata vindati tachranu yatha pravritrir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam sva karmanatam abhiyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. Translation was, the Lord said to Arjun, just hear from me how one can attain the highest perfection in life simply by discharging his specified occupational duty. Man can attain the highest perfection of life by worshipping the Supreme Lord and by performing sacrifice for the sake of Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is all-pervading and by whose control every living being acquires his desired facilities according to his personal propensity. There is no harm in having different propensities in life because every human being is proportionately independent to choke out the plan of his life by different occupations. But one should make it a point in his life to know perfectly well that he is not independent absolutely. That's a very important point. No one is independent. Everybody is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because in the process of living this life, material life, they forget that Krishna is in charge, and they think, okay, the material nature is in control. And the goal of life is to earn as much wealth as possible and earn as much money as possible, and they don't really know the real purpose of life. So this particular shlok is really telling us what should be our goal and our purpose in life. Although we are allowed to have as much propensity in life as possible, I mean, according to our nature, we have to do our jobs and earn wealth. But what is the purpose behind it? Is not for sense gratification, but it is meant for for applying it to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. So continuing from there, one is certainly under the control of the Supreme Lord and under different agencies. Knowing this, one should make it a point that by his work and the result of his labor, he serves the Supreme Lord as prescribed by the authorities expert in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. For performing such occupational duties of life, the leg is most important instrument of the body, because without the help of the legs, one cannot move from one place to another. And therefore the Lord has special control over the legs of human beings, which are meant for performing yagnas. Okay, so the purport ends there. We'll do a little bit of Mangal Charan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutle Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam. Vande Ham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatan Vitam Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishbhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Va Evacha Patita Nam Pavane Bhyo Vaishnave Bhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so this particular verse, shloka, is telling us that our lives are meant to be used for in the service of our Lord Vishnu, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we are allowed to actually do our work and earn as much money as possible, or whatever money that we want to earn, we are allowed to do that. But in regards to that, we have to remember that the ultimate controller is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Lord Krishna. In the event of running, in the purport, as I say, men run hither and thither. That's what's happening in this world. We are all rushing. Right now, a lot of us are running to work. It's 8:15 or 8:20 in the morning, and a lot of us are in the train or in their cars, in some sort of vehicle or another, transportation, are rushing off to work. And it is not condemned, it is not a wrong thing, it is perfectly acceptable. But in the event of doing that, we have to understand that we are not independent, we are not in control. We have been given this body by higher forces, and who is in charge really, and what should we do, and how should we behave. We must remember not to be engaged in such material life that we forget who is in charge and who is God, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we use our daily bread, so to speak, and share it with the Personality of Godhead. In other words, we remember that the ultimate goal of life is to remember and realize that we are the soul, and there is a superior power out there, which is who is God. And we are not under the influence of material nature, but under the control of a spiritual higher form of life, which is the Personality of Godhead. So what do we actually do? I mean, this theory or this morning's class tells us to become more spiritual rather than material. So the question arises then, should we all become renunciates? I mean, like a sannyasi or something. So I did a little bit of research. I read the Bhagavad Gita, because what happens is, when somebody is asked, apply your daily activities or basically your activities to Krishna, does that mean they become a sannyasi? I mean, they renounce everything. And the answer I found in the Bhagavad Gita, and this knowledge, it has actually been passed by Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita. So it comes down in disciplic succession. And it's this knowledge of the secret of life and how to actually behave and carry out our activities. It's been received by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, through Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in the direct line known as Sampradaya, through his guru, Srila Prabhupada's guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and through great personalities like Vyasadeva and Narad Muni and Lord Brahma. So it's not a knowledge that is insignificant. It comes from a very higher source. It comes actually from Krishna to Lord Brahma, and then from disciplic succession all the way down to being received by Srila Prabhupada, which we are imparting to you today. So, and so our sampradaya, or the disciplic line, is actually known as Brahma. Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. That's where we are from. And this is where this knowledge is coming from. So the question I asked earlier is application of our daily activities and our wealth and all those things. Should we be doing that as a renunciate or a sannyasi? I mean, in India, there is a tradition Sannyasis are given immediate respect. I mean, they come to your house, you wash your feet, and such a person who comes to your home, they will become purified. And everyone has this faith. So should we all? The question is the practical. The question becomes then, is it practical for everyone to become a sannyasi like that? Because the whole point of this shloka is it's teaching us whether we should, become renunciates and apply our daily activities to Krishna in that sense, in that regard. So I came across this shloka in the Bhagavad Gita, given directly by Lord Krishna and received by His Holiness, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, text 2. And it says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Sanyasaha karma yogascha, nihi shreyasa karab ubhav, tayastu karma sanyasat, karma yogo vishishate. Okay, so the translation of that is that the renunciation of work in devotion are both good. Renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. So, in other words, there's nothing wrong with being a sannyasi. That's what it's saying. It's both good. And work in devotion is also good for liberation. So, you can do both, in other words. They're both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. That's what this translation is saying. So work in devotional service is better, is much better than the renunciation of work. In other words, you don't need to become a sannyasi. And as the class goes on, I will talk about that one as well, about not being a sannyasi, how to actually become like a sannyasi, but not actually be a renunciate. So I found it very interesting. In this particular text, Arjun is showing that how we should behave as an ordinary householder, how we should behave. And he was, in a sense, actually, he was proposing that he should take sannyasi, actually, to Lord Krishna. He wanted to give up his duty and become a renunciate. So Krishna told him that rather than giving up your duty and become a sannyasi, you should continue to do your duty, but in devotion to Krishna. This is considered to be a better position. So the reason why we actually discussing this is because in the beginning when we become Hare Krishna devotees, there's a general, not everyone does it, but a general feeling to the new devotee, let me renounce everything, my work, my home, let me go and live in the temple, or let me go and live with a sadhu, or if you happen to be aspiring towards a spiritual master, let me go and live with my spiritual master and leave all sense of duty. That's actually quite wrong. You shouldn't have to do that. Whatever duty you are doing, according to this Bhagavad Gita text chapter 5, text 2, Krishna is telling Arjun, don't become a sannyasi, don't become a renunciate. Just continue doing your duty, but in devotion to Krishna. So, in this regard, there was a story in the Chaitanya Charitamrita when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was touring South India. And there he met a Brahmin. His name was Kurnama. And the Brahmin became very much attached to Lord Chaitanya. And he was a grihastha and he was a householder. And so he requested to Lord Chaitanya that, my dear Lord, please take me with you. But what was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's response? It was, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not accept this proposal. And in fact, he told the Brahman, better than coming with me is that you remain in your household life. And from that position of householder life, you preach Krishna consciousness. In other words, you stay as you are, become the householders, whatever it is, but just preach Krishna consciousness. You speak the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, to whomever you meet. And in this way, you become a guru. So you are as good as a guru. If you preach, this is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood. So you preach. Whether you're a householder, you're a brahmachari, you're a vanaprastha, a sannyasi, you preach. And in this way, you become a guru. And if you do this, then very shortly, we shall meet. And in fact, we shall never feel ourselves separated. In that regard is Amara, Agnya Guru, Hana Tare Desha, Yare Dekha, Tare Kaha, Krishna Upadesha. That means, instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya is telling us, follow the orders of Lord Krishna. That was just the text that I just recited, Bhagavad Gita 5.2, where Krishna is telling Arjun, continue doing your duty. That's his order. But do it in devotion to me. So in other words, whether you are a householder, whatever it is that you are, stay and do your duty, but you preach. Of course, you will preach to the people who are willing to listen, because it is an offense to instruct a faithless person on the glories of the holy name. It's one of the offenses. So we have to be careful, because when we go to work, we start preaching willy-nilly, and people are not really willing to listen at work. So you got to be careful who it is you're preaching to, but wherever and whenever you can, preach. So this instruction of Lord Chaitanya to the Brahmin in South India is actually repeating what Lord Krishna had said himself 5,000 years ago, according to this text, chapter 5.2. It is better to perform work in devotion than to give up artificially those things we have. So, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's follower, Sri Rupa Goswami, has described that renunciation means to use everything in Krishna's service. So remember, I was telling you about just earlier about the sannyasi. Why it is better to do work in devotional service than be a sannyasi. And here Rupa Goswami tells us. He says that actually renunciation means to use everything in Krishna's service. So the best renunciate is one. The best renunciate, the best sannyasi is he who sees everything in relationship to Krishna. So we can all be sannyasis in our own right. The best sannyasi is he who sees everything within your householder life. The best sannyasi is he who sees everything in relationship to Krishna. That means that within your householder life, you can be as good as a sannyasi. You can be as good as a sannyasi. Wow. You can learn to utilize everything for Krishna. If you have a wife, husband, children, what do? You just have to let them be engaged in Krishna's service also. That's really all you've got to do. You have a householder life, just engage your family members in the service of Krishna. And that is what my guru instructed to me also. I mean, I was the first person in my family to get initiated. And later on, once I became like a Brahmin initiated devotee, a few years has passed. So I'm standing on my feet, so-called feet. Let's say that I'm in a better position to preach, because it does take a while. Once that happened, Gurudev asked me to preach to my family members, and he said he's interested in guiding my family members. It happens to each one of us, and it becomes a duty. I mean, after that, if your family members become devotees, it will make you happy. You will become a happy person, because everyone's working in harmony towards Krishna. Although it is one thing to say it and another thing to do it. It's a job and a half to tell somebody in the family, especially if they're not willing. I have a family full of tigers and lions, and they don't listen much, not really. And it's very difficult to preach Krishna conscious to those who are near and dear to you. Actually, it's very hard for the beloved to listen to any instructions by the beloved. They will not. But the same instructions, if it comes from a higher authority or a different person, they will take it. So it is kind of hard, but still you got to persevere. Find some means of engaging them in Krishna's seva. Because if we actually, the whole point is why we do that is we devote our time with our family members instead of sense gratification, instead of pleasing ourselves. Because what happens is our senses, they are insatiable, they're never satisfied. And in the process of actually satisfying our senses, buying a better car, earning more money, or getting the best of holidays, or whatever it is that we are doing to gratify our senses, we get really disappointed many times. Because our senses, it is not, you cannot satisfy it all the time. It's not 100% complete satisfaction. It's not possible. So then, you become frustrated, and then you become depressed, and then after that you lose your intelligence, and because you become bewildered, you become angry. So you kind of forget, in the process of your sense gratification, you forget the higher purpose of life. So it's better that you preach Krishna consciousness and apply it with Krishna, and you'll be happier. Because Krishna will satisfy everything, all your senses. Krishna's presence makes you happy. He's the only one who can make you happy. So a wise man doesn't simply think of gratifying his senses. He realistically analyzes that his body is simply a covering. Yeah, our body is actually a covering for our soul. And now, the soul has taken birth in this particular planet. I find myself in this situation. I'm living in this house. I have this family. But these relationships will only last until this body lasts. After this body is finished, the relationship is over. Finished. So, what do? The soul will continue, obviously. So, the soul will continue to endure. So, therefore, let me continue to perform my duty to Lord Krishna in devotional service, and at the same time do my duty to my soul. So, these two actually are parallel. You are doing a service to Krishna, you are also doing a duty to your soul. Because the soul continues. This body will go, but the soul continues. So, how important it is to serve Krishna and prepare a journey for your soul. So we actually have to learn. It's a job and a half. It's not so easy that we say, oh, okay, let's do this for Krishna. It's not easy at all. We actually have, it's a skill, it's an art. We have to learn. And I'll give you some hints and tips on how to actually, if you are basically in a householder life, because most of us, majority of us are in householder life, how to actually do this parallel thing of doing your duty to Krishna and doing your work. What is it that you do? So we'll talk about that a little bit more. We have to actually learn how to perform our worldly activities at the same time, not neglect our spiritual duties. This Krishna conscious movement has been established for this purpose. So Srila Prabhupada actually established it for the same purpose, where we can balance our lifestyle and not forget our spiritual duties. It is meant to engage everyone, our Krishna conscious movement. It is meant to engage everyone according to their particular position in life. Whether one is brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi, it is actually designed for all. Srila Prabhupada has been so kind that he's actually designed it for everyone. Whether one is engaged in intellectual activity or in administrative functions or a mercantile engagement or simply labor, any one of these engagements can be used in Krishna's satisfaction. So the question then arises, how? How? So Srila Prabhupada actually created our life membership program. It's a unique opportunity. When you become a devotee, you become a lifetime devotee. You don't just become a temporary, ISKCON is not a place for like a revolving door that you come in and then you go out. No. ISKCON is something where, a place that's been established by Srila Prabhupada where we come in and we stay in. It is not a revolving door. So it's a lifetime membership. And you just grow and you advance. And you engage in Lord Krishna's service, devotional service, and you meet so many devotees of Lord Krishna. And you get association. And they keep you happy and they keep you occupied. They actually help you advance. Because Devotees, they're like desire trees. They can fulfill the desires of everyone. We recite that in the mornings. They're full of compassion for the conditioned living souls. Devotees, we help each other. We help each other stay, afloat. And it's a lifetime. It's a unique opportunity you will not find anywhere in this, on this planet with any other religion, actually. So, so it allows you. So what do you actually do? So I found another shlok in chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, text 29, 5.29. It says, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram shudram sarva bhutanam jnanatva mam shantim rachati. What does it mean? A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So in other words, we understand that actually Krishna is a proprietor. He is the one who receives the ultimate beneficiaries. He's the ultimate beneficiary. He receives everything anyway. And he is the proprietor of everything. He owns everything. So then what is ours? What is ours? All the hard work, all the sweat, all the blood we spend earning money, doing whatever it is that we do, it doesn't belong to us anyway. It doesn't belong to it doesn't belong to us anyway. And in that regard, I was listening to my guru's class, and he was saying, Krishna was known as a makanchor. He's stealing the butter. He's a makanchor. I actually have a little makanchor in my altar, on my altar also. I love little makanchor. He's very cute. Stealing butter, he looks so cute. Which thief will look so cute? I don't know any thief who will look so beautiful and cute stealing something. So Gurudev said that the point is that he is the proprietor. According to this shlok here, 5.29, it says Krishna is the ultimate beneficiary of everything. It belongs to him. So then if everything belongs to him, so what is he stealing? It is his butter anyway. So he's not a thief. And he speaks the truth. When they say, Krishna, did you steal the butter? He says, no, I didn't. I didn't steal anything. And he's right, he didn't. It was his anyway. So what I'm saying is that all the money that we earn, it's his anyway. All the hard work that we've done, it belongs to Krishna anyway. It comes from him. It's not ours. So there's no point in hoarding everything and calling it ours anyway. Your wife, your husband, your children, even they don't belong to you. They belong to Krishna. Everything and everyone belongs to Krishna. So Krishna, he gives us an intelligence to understand this. And so what we do, I'm coming to the point where how we can actually apply everything in real life. Well, we return these things to Krishna in portion. So if you have certain wealth, you donate to the temple, you donate to Krishna. Use it in the service of Krishna. Or use it in the service of Krishna in your home. Build an altar, make an altar. Have deities, serve them. Whatever prasad you cook, whatever bhoga you cook, whatever you cook, first of all, offer it to Krishna. Offer it to Krishna, then you can have it. You give it to your family. So your family will have the unique opportunity to take Mahaprasadam. I was lucky enough when I took my initiation, Bir Krishna Maharaj, he asked me to take another vow. I won't talk about it much, but it involves prasadam. So right from the word go, I had the blessings of always receiving prasad. So whatever I cook, I offer to Krishna, and Lord Krishna is obliged to turn that into prasad because of my initiation vow. So when I cook something, I don't know how it works out, but because it is prasad, it turns out tasty, to me at least, and those people who eat what I cook, they say it's tasty. It is actually not even me, I'm not the reason, it's because of my initiation vow that it ends up being tasty. So I feel like I'm blessed for that reason. But the whole point is that if you cook and offer to Krishna, it becomes tasty. Your family members get to eat Mahaprasadam, and they have a unique opportunity to spiritually advance. So you are actually applying your cooking, your eating to Krishna. You're applying your wealth. So this is what we mean by work in devotional service. It is not something big, it's not something huge. You just use it practically in your life. So you make prasadam, and the thing is that you always, if you belong to a temple, then you obviously have a duty also, because it's your home. ISKCON is your home. It is a spiritual home. It's yours. And each and every member, they have a duty to serve in the temple in any which way. In any which way. It's not that you have to give all your money. Just serve. Why? Because you're concerned for Krishna. Obviously, by Krishna's mercy, our movement will continue. But our concern should be there. Just like, our concern is there for our family members. Did they eat today? Do they have a place to live? We have this unique opportunity to be anxious for Sri Radha Gopinath here in Sydney. Has he eaten? Does he have this? Does he have that? I mean, every time I go to Fiji, I always have jewels in my mind, because Fiji is a very lovely place where we get jewelries for cheap. So I end up buying jewelry for Krishna, Gopinath here. Or Gokula Nanda, I have given some. To Krishna Kalya temple, I have given. But I have a concern. This is beautiful, so I'll give it to Krishna. So you all have our own propensity. I mean, there's someone who says, "Oh, does Krishna have nice bhoga? Let's give him some ghee." Or is Krishna's house clean? So they come and clean. Does he have enough cleaning materials, or does he have enough this, enough that? So every ISKCON member has a duty. So that is work in service, devotional service. You work in devotional service. You actually apply that to Krishna. You give something back. So let's see. What other ways we can do this? Apply our work in devotional services by chanting our rounds. What happens when we chant our rounds? Chant our rounds means what? Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What happens there is Krishna reciprocates. And he responds. He does. And what happens is you feel transcendental emotions. Your transcendental emotions will rise above your anxieties, your material anxieties. So your material anxieties will be replaced by transcendental feelings. You become happy. And it gives you relief from material anxiety, actually, as soon as you start chanting. And you immediately get elevated to a spiritual platform. So that is another application to how you practically devote your life. Work in service of devotional service. Work in devotional service. Chanting is part of it. Because you are putting yourself in a transcendental emotional state, in a spiritual platform. So you're becoming devotional just by chanting. And what happens is, another thing you can do, this is His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj's suggestion, is every day you read at least one shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. And the purport, especially the purport, you read that. And you meditate on its meaning. If you cannot do it every day, at least do it every other day. Meditate on its meaning means you try to think about this purport, what it means, and try to apply it to your life. And if you try to live your life according to the verse you have read, then you are delivered. You're liberated already. So that also means work in devotional service. You read the Bhagavad Gita, you read a shlok, you read a purport, you read literature written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So even little children, they can chant Hare Krishna. So teach them to chant Hare Krishna. Whatever Bhagavad Gita you have read, if your family is willing to listen to you, explain it to your family. So I know how hard that is. I mean, I take classes sometimes, but explaining it to my own family members or people I'm close to is very difficult. They won't listen. But, it took few years. But my family is coming around. They're going to the Hare Krishna temple now and are taking guidance from His Holiness Bir Krishna Maharaj through his associates in New Zealand. So they're in touch, connected somehow. But take few years. But it works. So, come slowly, but it does eventually. So don't give up. That's the idea. Don't give up. And what else can we do? Well, we can give up meat. Stop eating meat, fish, or eggs. Why? Because Krishna doesn't accept meat, fish, or eggs. How can you have prasadam if you eat meat, fish, or eggs? Can you imagine if you make eggs or something, meat, and then offer it as prasadam to Krishna, abhoga? No, it's not. Krishna doesn't accept it. So don't eat it. If Krishna doesn't eat it, why are you eating it? Don't eat it. And so eat what? Grains, milk, fruits, vegetables. With a tulsi leaf. Never forget tulsi leaf. Krishna accepts tulsi leaf. He loves tulsi leaf. So have tulsi leaf offer. And serve the dinner to family. Also to remember is no intoxication. In other words, no alcohol, beer, wine, but spirits, drugs, smokes. What's the reason for no intoxication? Is intoxication destroys all the good qualities within a human being. Intoxication destroys all the good qualities within a human being. As soon as you take some kind of intoxication, you forget. You forget that you are actually a human being because you start behaving in a non-human being way. And the worst thing to do is this, to do that in front of your children. Because your children are going to do that the same thing one day. They're going to do that one day. So this is, if you have a child, then you have a big responsibility, actually. You have to realize that whatever you do, that child is going to follow. He's going to follow that example because children learn by imitation. They will imitate you. So if you drink, they will drink one day. And if you worship Krishna, they will worship Krishna one day. So you've got to set the example. So no intoxication, because you will stop being a human being. Your good qualities will disappear. Your child will also have those bad qualities because they will look and they will learn. So if you are addicted to bad habits, then how are you going to tell your children not to follow your example one day? Imagine your child is growing up saying, no, don't follow this, don't do this. And the child will be like, but dad or mom, you did this. So it's going to be very difficult if you have bad habits to teach your child good habits. So it's better not to have bad habits. Don't be addicted to bad habits. And obviously no gambling, because it's a waste of money and waste of time. And no illicit sex life. We should be married. So this is called work in devotional service. Follow the regulative principles. These are our principles that Srila Prabhupada has established to generate human life. And it is guaranteed that next life will also be a human being if we do not make it back to Godhead. With our Krishna conscious practice, at least we will not be animals. Actually, in previous life, previous times, this was understood. These 4 regulative principles was automatically understood. They followed this in historic times, previous times. But nowadays when we say that, then people get shocked. They'll say, huh? No meat. How are we going to eat? How are we going to get our proteins? Do you realize how, without proteins we can't survive? We'll get tired, or we'll deteriorate, or our health will suffer. No, it's not like that. Not like that at all. So we need to, in the olden days, they were all vegetarians. And these days we have enough distractions. It's very difficult. So we need to chant and protect ourselves and be in association with devotees. Because we've got the social media, we've got all kinds of movies, you watch the news. These are distractions. They'll take you away. So you've got to control what you watch on TV. Srila Prabhupada used to watch Charlie Chaplin, something funny. So you regulate what you watch. I watch funny stuff on TV sometimes if I'm stressed. In good humor though. So, you know, it's you've got to be careful what you watch. We have to train our eyes and our minds to see that we watch the right things. And obviously, we don't watch killings and murders. All these things it will. And these days, kids are playing PlayStations with murdering and shootings, and they play all day. It's a distraction. But rather, we've got the nice Mahabharata and the Ramayans out, and it's all in YouTube. My guru gave me a whole bunch of Vedic videos, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Krishna. So, it's there. You can watch that. Occupy your minds. So these are some of the practical tips that you can utilize in service of Lord Krishna. It's very simple. It's not hard at all. So I will wish you a nice Krishna conscious day today. I will stop there. Please chant. Please read a shlok of the Bhagavad Gita or anything, and any of the scripts that Vedic scriptures that Srila Prabhupada has given us. Meditate on it. Try to apply it in our lives. That's the best way to actually understand what we have read, is apply it in our lives. Meditate upon it. It's just one shloka. The purport helps. And try to help our family members, follow the 4 regulatory principles. Be concerned that Krishna might be hungry, so give him some bhoga. And that's really how you become a renunciate, better than a sannyasi, according to this purport. You become better than a sannyasi because you are devoting your entire life to Krishna. You're working for Krishna in our little ways. So please remember to keep His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj in your thoughts and your prayers, in your chanting, if you want to chant extra rounds for his health. We are all praying for him, that he may recover very quickly, so he can stay with us. So, Hare Krishna, thank you for listening. Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki Jai.